Da, 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 da. The ruler who was responsible for beheading the Apostle James. Oh no. And who had Peter arrested. Yeah. He was the grandson of the ruler who had John the Baptist beheaded. Long line of rulers that want to destroy prophets and leaders. He was also the great-grandson of Herod the Great, who, in his attempt to kill the baby Jesus, ordered the death of all the male Jewish children 2 and under in Bethlehem. Agrippa's the second power was limited to authority over Jewish affairs, scripture and conflicts. Rome appointed him as the curator of the temple, which meant he had the authority to appoint high priests and was also in charge of the temple treasury. Agrippa II did not have any children, and when he met the Apostle Paul, he was living in an incestuous relationship with his younger sister, Bernice. Agrippa II's capital was Caesarea Philippi, which he renamed Neronius in honor of Caesar Nero. Agrippa II called himself Great King, pious friend of Caesar, and friend of Rome. The last of the Herods, he died in AD 100 at the age of 73. So just a little background, a little bit about who and what King Agrippa is. And I was going to say, what? Yeah, well, he's a scoundrel. So that's the what. And who he is a king who comes from a long line of kings who didn't do what they needed to do. Now, as we go through this, we're hoping that we will learn to defend our faith in Jesus Christ, even in the face of rejection, even when somebody doesn't believe us, even when it doesn't seem right, even when people aren't interested. We ought to make sure that we defend the faith, that we, they call it apologetics, but nevertheless, we ought to make the case when asked or when confronted. This is mostly when you need to make the case. When you're in the face of rejection, you need to really kind of stand up. You don't need to cower down and say, oh, well, maybe you got a point there, and I should probably believe what you believe because what I believe has no power. We ought to believe that what we have is greater than what the world has. As greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world. But I don't want to belabor this point. Let's just go a little further because I'm going to have to transition in a moment and take a break and all that good stuff. So let's just go a little further real quick so we can cover a little bit more ground. Paul begins by stating his credentials as a faithful Jew who before his conversion had lived as a Pharisee. Paul explains to King Agrippa that it is only after his conversion, when he begins to be a witness to the Gentiles for Christ, that he becomes a target to the Jewish authorities. Yeah, I was with them. In other words, we were all in the same boat together. And then all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, in the twinkling of an eye, or in the moment after I was converted and changed and no longer saw things like they did, I started to see things differently than other folk. Then all of a sudden, oh my goodness, out the blue, now all of a sudden people don't want to be bothered with me anymore. They don't want to, they think of me as a scourge, as a curse, as something less than human, if you will. And now everybody's after me and they want to kill me and they want to destroy me because I'm making an impact. And maybe that's the story of your life. People are starting to hate you because you're doing something that's changing the face of the earth. You're causing a riot. You're causing people to think about something. You're having the guts to tell somebody about Jesus. And it's really wrecking your life. But think about it. People resist change. There's trouble in transition, but transition is really not to do away with the old. It's really to illuminate what's to come. And what's to come is better than what's been. So what's the problem, young man? What's the problem, young lady? What's the problem, dear sir? What's the problem, dear ma'am? Why can't we all just get along? Why can't we learn to love and talk in love? Why can't we learn to establish the truth? Yeah, it's a difficult thing, I know. I'm asking a lot of us to really just observe the truth in love. But it can be done. But it is up to us to do it. You're tuned in to Guts Gospel United Save, bringing the information needed for transformation within South Florida and all over the world. A variety talk show with a Christian point of view, hoping that you will have the guts to tell somebody about Jesus. Got to take a break, but we'll be back after this.
It's not what it looks like, feels like, or sounds like.
It's what the Word of God say it's like.
And that's Word.
He was raised in faith and the values of family. He served us in the United States Army with valor. He's been an example to our youth as a teacher and coach. Alan West now serves us in Congress, fighting against policies that are tearing apart our communities and families. Alan West, he shares our values: faith, family, and service. Alan West for Congress. Black America's Political Action Committee is responsible for the content of this ad.
Aren't you glad you know? That's Terry Champion Praise Medley right here on Guts Gospel United Save, bringing the information needed for transformation within South Florida and all over the world. A variety talk show with a Christian point of view. Getting ready now for National Right to Life. Hope you enjoy the National Right to Life and their special presentation, letting you know why we should care about the unborn child.
Broadcasting from the Washington, D.C. studios of the National Right to Life Committee, this is Pro-Life Perspective, America's pro-life voice. And now, here's National Right to Life President and Pro-Life Perspective host, Carol Tobias.
People who support abortion on demand seemingly appear to hold a very confused view of the unborn child in the womb. For example, in 1993, the Dallas Morning News reported that Charlotte Taft, then director of the South Street Women's Clinic in Dallas, made the statement, quote, "We, the pro-choice movement, were hiding from women some of the pieces of the truth about abortion that were threatening. It is a kind of killing, and most women seeking abortion know that." End quote. However, Kate Michelman, then president of NARAL, was quoted as saying she would never tell someone they are killing through abortion. Instead, she would say they were terminating a stage of fetal development and potential life. Clearly, an attempt is being made to deny the humanity of the unborn child in order to be able to avoid facing the fact that abortion kills a living human person. How, in the modern age of sonograms, can anyone who has seen ultrasound images claim that the individual in any stage of fetal development is only potential life and not actual life? Sadly, it's often because they do not fully understand the nature of the growing life inside the womb. The key is to fully understand the importance of the moment of conception. This is when the sperm from the father enters the egg of the mother, resulting in the creation of a totally new human being that has never existed before in the history of the world and will never exist again. The idea of human uniqueness is so great that it's like counting the grains of sand on the beach. How can every single human being be absolutely unique? It is because of the complexity of the genetic exchange that occurs between the father and the mother, with the enormous number of individual traits that the genes control. It is mathematically impossible for two separate human beings to be created in this manner and be exactly alike. Only identical twins, created in the earliest days after conception, are exactly alike genetically. We all understand that the genes control our outward appearance, the color of hair, eyes and skin, the shape of our nose, the length of our fingers, our height, and perhaps even our tendency to be overweight. Modern science has also demonstrated that genes may be responsible for many of our personality traits, such as whether or not we are extroverted, have short tempers, or are altruistic. In other words, at conception, a complete human being is created physically, intellectually, and emotionally. This is the beginning of this unique child's life. This child will grow and develop and respond to the environment, but she has her own unique identity, which will never change over the course of her lifetime. The child killed in the womb during an abortion is a unique human person. This is not a generic baby. Rather, it is a particular person. If we reflect on what this really means, we know that killing this person in the womb is no different from killing her right after birth, or at 3 months, or 3 years. It is the same person who dies, only the length of the person's life changes. The genes in each human person also contain the information that determines the developmental plan that is common to each human being. Each one of us goes through the same developmental stages leading to adulthood. The first of these stages occurs in the womb. Tune in tomorrow as I discuss the events of the first stage of human development. In the meantime, for resource links and more information, or to forward this week's episodes to a friend or neighbor, log on to prolifeperspective.com. If you have comments or questions, please email me at carol@prolifeperspective.com.
You've been listening to Pro-Life Perspective from National Right to Life, the nation's largest grassroots pro-life organization. For more information on today's episode and to get involved, visit our website at www.nrlc.org.
Pastors, ministers, evangelists, and apostles, are you looking to convert your sermons from cassettes to CDs? Are you looking to edit your messages to create ministry series? Or do you want to convert your messages and offer downloads on the internet? Call 754-24-MUSIC. Call 754-24-MUSIC to convert your sermons to CDs. Don't let your powerful messages sit in the corner in storage. Digitize it, edit it, and master your messages on CD for distribution. Convert your sermons for iPods, MP3s. Edit your messages for radio broadcasting and internet streaming. Call 754-24-MUSIC and watch as God convert his people using your gifts. Call Rhythm and Gospel, 754-246-8742.
Rhythm and gospel, fulfilling God's will on earth as it is in heaven.
This is Walked Away. I'm Jeff Klein. Politics as usual in this country are making me recall the infamous Chick-fil-A YouTube video. As a man waited for his turn at the window of a Chick-fil-A, he spoke into his smartphone camera, announcing he was at Chick-fil-A for his free water. There was almost nothing he looked more forward to than getting whatever he could from this bigoted, hateful company. Once he got to the window, his verbal onslaught began. What he didn't anticipate was a polite, kind, and respectful young lady on the other side of the glass. As he drove away, he pronounced how good it felt to do what he just did. Then he posted his video online. It went viral in just a few hours. The very next day, he was fired by his company. The young lady at the window was hailed a heroine. Mr. President, Mr. Romney, don't you remember? A few weeks ago, a fast food drive-thru window employee raised your bar. Jump higher. Join the conversation on Facebook.com/walkedaway.
Gospel United to Save. It's the Guts Gospel Show, a variety talk show with a Christian view. With your host, Nikki B, featuring open discussion, event spotlights, and special guests. Tune in weekdays 3 times a day. Wake up for the morning show at 7 a.m. Tune in for the midday show at 3:30 p.m. and ride home with the evening show at 6 p.m. And Saturdays at 10 a.m. The Guts Gospel Show. Guts Gospel Show with your host, Nikki B. Gospel United to Save. Tune in, call in, and log in. Let's talk about it, laugh about it, and pray about it with Nikki B. right here on this station. Tune in online and listen to it on the internet. www.gutsave.webs.com. It's the Guts Gospel Show. Gospel United to Save. A variety talk show with a Christian view.
This commercial is sponsored by Rhythm and Gospel Network, where we're replacing the blues with the good news. news.
Now back to the Guts Gospel Show with Nick.